Welcome back, everyone, to episode 4 of the Playing with Matches podcast. I'm your host, Easton Bennett, as always. 4th episode. I mean, it's been a while since I've been on here. Episode 3, didn't talk about it very much. It was just a voiceover of a speech I gave at the school. So I don't know if many of you heard that. If you haven't, go watch it. But today we are doing an interview. First time we're doing an interview on this podcast. Super excited to have my good buddy Boedey Vaeth on. And Boedey, how's it going?
I'm good, Benny. How are you?
I'm doing well, even better now that you're on this podcast. So, first thing I want to talk about a little bit is what we're going to be doing. First interview on the podcast. So it's going to kind of be, we're going to be talking to creatives about what they do, why they do it, and kind of how they got into things. So Boedey is, in layman's terms, an up-and-coming filmmaker, I like to call him. So we'll let him give a quick intro about himself. Boedey, you can take it away. I don't want to steal the spotlight. So, Boedey, tell the listeners a little bit about yourself.
Well, we met just this past year. We played on the same hockey team. Didn't know much about you before, but just knew you had a pretty high voice. So,
oh my,
yeah. So,
I'll have to edit
that. We just kind of became great buddies throughout the year. Definitely you helped me kind of start probably right around Christmas time, I think it was. You kind of helped me pick out a camera that I was looking into getting. And just from there, then for the kind of the remainder of the season, then we just kind of helped each other out and ended up doing a couple of projects together in good old Steinbach. And so I'm just kicking out in Winnipeg here. It's where I live in the summer. So just here for the summer until I go to school in the fall.
That's awesome. I'm really glad you brought up me helping you pick out a camera because I love making people spend money. So, I in the filmmaking industry know that camera gear and all that equipment is super expensive. So I needed to pull someone else in to waste their money with me. So I'm glad you could do that with me, Boedey.
Yeah, it's you definitely picked one that was a bit pricey, but oh
well. You'll thank me in the long run. Okay, Boedey, first question, we're going to get into the actual meat of the interview here. One thing I just want to get started into is what creative field, obviously we touched on a little bit, but what field are you in creatively and what exactly does that entail?
I'd say mainly right now it's just kind of the video side of it. Just when I was younger, I did a lot of traveling growing up, so I definitely took a part to just kind of bring a camera. Back then I just used my phone or a GoPro, but that was kind of always a passion, just to take some travel videos and then edit them on the good old iMovie. So so it kind of started then, and then just kind of when I got my camera and some gear here, I just started reaching out to just kind of some family friends to start, and then slowly got some clients coming in here. So I just mainly doing videos for them, but I kind of I like the photography side of it too. Been working on my editing picture skills, and it's always fun to take some cool pictures and just see what you can do with the camera with that aspect of it too.
That's what I like to hear. One thing I wanted to ask you, do you think it's almost good that people, when they go different directions in their careers, say it be filmmaking for us, or maybe it's swimming or fishing for someone else, do you think it almost always translate that they somehow had a hint of it in their childhood and they kind of were exposed to it already and then they came full circle around to it?
Yeah, I definitely think it comes from something you did when you were younger. Obviously, we're kind of up in the day and age here where cameras are just coming up, and I mean, every phone that comes out is just that much better of a camera. So just growing up with especially all the outdoors activities kind of around me, just in Winnipeg and Manitoba here. And then too with the trips that I've gone on, I've always been exposed to cameras, and my mom used to do photography too, so she was always kind of a big influence there on that part. But especially for you see everyone on YouTube here, I think everyone starts with just kind of a childhood passion, whether it's sports or dancing or I don't know what other passions there are out there, but those are my two favorite.
Underwater basket weaving,
underwater somersaulting. I think yeah, it definitely comes from somewhere, and yeah, it's a good aspiration to have if anyone out there is listening, to just pick up a camera and start recording whatever.
That's one thing I really like to tell people, and I like to preach, is that you got to start somewhere. So even maybe if you were exposed to it as a kid and you come back to it later, at least you started, and at least you can take that step. So that's really good, and I'm happy that you're doing that, Boedey. So makes me very happy. So next question I kind of want to ask you is, you're into this video kind of stuff, and you're kind of, obviously you're getting your feet wet here, and where exactly do you want video work and creative work to take you in life, if it's that deep? If it's not, you can just tell me to kick rocks.
You can kick rocks. No, I'm just kidding. I think right now.
All right, that's all for the podcast, guys.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. Right now, it's just kind of, it's really just a passion, but obviously there's a business side to it that I've seen that I think I could definitely make something out of. So right now, it's just kind of, I have a few projects lined up for the summer, and then once hockey starts back up in the fall here in school, I kind of have some stuff planned that I talk with to our coach. So might do just kind of some media stuff with our team throughout the year. I know I'm gonna be starting a little podcast, I think, with our team. Getting some guests on in the summer, and then kind of carried on into the season, and kind of give the University of Manitoba a bit of taste of what Bison hockey is going to be about. But
sounds like a blast. But here's the thing. I know your end all be all is not to be a media person for the Bison. So let's put it this way: if you, perfect dream scenario, perfect world, no money didn't matter, place didn't matter, you got a wife and you got the kids and everything already, what is your dream scenario? What are you doing every single day, whether that be filmmaking or not?
I would say,
actually, maybe keep it around filmmaking. if your profession was a camera related.
I would almost say a YouTube channel, and just obviously have clients, but just a YouTube channel and just kind of document, whether it's trips or
So you think you'd lean more towards the travel type videos?
I would say if my end goal, if I had a dream job, it would be a travel. Bad with words.
No, words are hard, man.
Travel videographer is what you could call it, I guess.
Okay, yeah. So just make travel videos for like tourism boards and stuff like that, or
yeah, have
people pay you to take trips, right?
Just throw them on the tube and let it do it magic, and
on the tube.
On the tube.
Kind of like Sam Colder. Do you follow Sam Colder at all?
I follow, I think, every account that he owns. So yeah, I follow him a little bit.
just a smidge.
Just a smudge.
But yeah, that's a big goal to have. That would probably be one of mine too. I was actually, funny story, I was talking to my sister in the car today, and I was going to come home here, kick off the Berks, toss them under the desk, get comfy, put on some sweats, throw on the heater because it's cold, and I was going to just make a list of every airline company and every tourism board in the world, and I was just going to email them, be like, yo, I'm Easton, I'm average at making videos, I want you to pay for a free trip, and I'll document the whole thing and show it to my 500-person audience. And hopefully if I send 500 emails, maybe I'll get one yes, right? Or maybe I'll get a maybe. So,
you'll get a maybe, and then they might ask for a last name, which you won't give them because you just go by Easton.
Yep, I'll just say, hey, this is Beaston on the phone.
Beaston.
B-Unit, whatever you want to call me. And I'm here to make your video dreams come true.
That's a good idea. I'm going to start sending out faxes to... I'm just going to Google media, and every link that pops up, I'm just going to send an email saying...
Hey, this is Boedey. I do media too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a huge thing, especially in podcasting. I know we're kind of getting off topic a little bit, but that's all right. That's what this podcast's for. But especially in podcasting, I really think that you should create the least amount of friction for your audience as possible. So me and you right now, we're recording this podcast for obviously like the audio, which podcasts are. So it's going to be on Apple, Spotify, Anchor, all those places. But I think it's a really good idea to film it, which we both are, and then the audience can watch it on Facebook and YouTube as well. So I really think that's important if anyone's starting and wants to get their stuff out there, is to put it on as many platforms as you can and really create no friction for your audience. in watching or listening or consuming your content. Would you
agree
with me?
Yeah, I always agree with you. You're so smart.
That's
You just gotta.
like
I think you just gotta throw it out there and just let it do its thing. I mean, anyone can search up a podcast nowadays with pretty much any phone. So if it's on all those platforms, kind of your margin for getting noticed is pretty big. So.
And really, it only takes one view, right? You might only have 15 people listening, but if one of those people is the CEO of Lendl Global, I'm pretty sure that's from the other guys, by the way. then Bob's your uncle, and you're off to the races, right?
If they're the chief of the NYPD, then you're laughing.
Yeah, but really, this took a turn for the almost dramatic side, and I'd like to tell anyone that's sitting on their ass, not doing anything, and they're thinking, oh, I should start doing this or I should start doing that, to just do it, right? You just got to jump in, dip your toes in the water, and get going. So
be Nike, and just do it.
I think that's branded. I don't know if it can be on this podcast.
We'll cut that.
Okay, so next thing I want to take from you, because I'm going to rob you. Next thing I want to ask you is a little bit about what inspires you. Like, what kind of things do you see, and what kind of things do you do or listen to or watch that inspire you to create and make something cool?
I mean, definitely Sam Colder, just kind of having that travel experience that I've had and making those videos. Mm-hmm. I would say he's a big one. For sure, his videos are second to none. So, then yeah, you kind of showed me Peter McKinnon, so he's one that I watch. I pretty much watch every video. So,
absolute beauty. Did you see he cut his hair, by the way?
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about that.
Me neither. It was goofy. But continue. Sorry.
Yeah, he's a big one I watch too. Yeah, I try and you can search up anything on the tube, and I mean, there's so many people out there that are kind of doing the same journey as we are. So, yeah, but those two guys I would say are the kind of top inspiration, and I really like what kind of Peter McKinnon does. Obviously, he throws a lot of tips and stuff on YouTube, but I know those have been really helpful for me, and just kind of those simple tricks that you can do when you're out recording.
Yeah, and I really like Peter too. That's why I showed you him, is because I think his vlogs and almost his videos take vlogging and YouTubing to the next level. So usually it's just like handheld, kind of choppy, not so good looking footage, but he really brings that cinematic slow motion and transitions and cuts and cool looking visuals to tell a story. And that's what really resonates with me, is because when I tell stories, I want it to look pretty, right? So now let's kind of let's shift a different direction. Let's talk about, so filmmaking, obviously, making films directly correlated to movies. Movies really drive me to create, because obviously one day, I don't know if you guys or the audience knows this, but I really want to get into documentary filmmaking. So, film things like people and what they're doing, or situations, or conspiracy theories, because I love that kind of shit, but I really want to get into that. So watching those movies really inspire me to take that route and go that direction. But what are some of your favorite movies, and what kind of movies are you into?
If you would have asked me this before I started filmmaking, it would have been a lot different. Before, I was into comedies and just kind of something to make me laugh, but now, especially even just commercials, I'll be just watching TV and I just catch myself thinking, like, how did they get that shot, or like how much time did this take? That, man. How much time did they take to edit this, or and it's just a simple Windex commercial that I watch. But
Windex. Lendl Global commercial.
I'd say just anything to do with kind of action movies, or I actually really like documentaries too, like you said, but those are just the way they just can tell a story, and even just a 45-minute video or 30-minute video is pretty impressive. And especially now that I'm into filmmaking, just the kind of the frames and some of the shots they can get is just pretty interesting. And yeah,
it's awesome to see that kind of stuff, because me and my parents actually started Game of Thrones here a few weeks ago, and I know I'm a little late on the party, so I apologize to the listeners, but we started Game of Thrones all in all, and I'm sitting there watching it, and the cinematography in that show is bar none, right? So they're doing all these cool slider shots past trees and running scenes, and I'm in my head thinking, oh, I wonder how they did that, or wonder what kind of setup they got on there. My parents are just sitting there wondering why that dog is chasing that other person, right? Yeah. So it's really cool to see that out of movies, and that's somewhere I actually would want to be some days, filming shows or movies like that. So
yeah,
I don't know if you knew that about me.
I know. I think I knew. I know a few things about you.
Too many, probably.
Yeah, too many. That's what hockey does to you.
Okay, Boedey, so next question. Growth is a huge thing when you're in a creative industry or a creative field, obviously. One thing I tweeted a while back was everyone sucks shit their first time, right? So I think it's super important that, yeah, no, it's funny, right? I think it's super important that you just have to start, right? So have you been able to notice like the growth that you've been having in doing filmmaking and making videos and taking photos and editing and the whole works, or is it kind of just stagnant?
Yeah, I definitely have. I mean, obviously when I started, I was just using my phone or a GoPro, so just shaking away trying to record something. But yeah, like even just some of the equipment that I've gotten, just a simple gimbal can make your video that much better. And now I've started to get into the color grading, and especially with photos, just editing photos and learning that whole aspect of it. It can just make your footage or photos that much better. So I can definitely say from the start, looking back at videos or pictures to kind of where I'm at now, and I know I haven't gone too far. I'm still starting off here, but just that couple months span, you can definitely notice a huge difference.
So say a person's trying to start something. Let's keep it on let's keep it on the topic of film, obviously. So say someone wants to start their own YouTube channel or whatever, but what are some steps or tips or advice maybe you could give someone to keep pushing and to keep growing themselves as a creative?
I would say one of the biggest things is you got to have the motivation, but you got to have the passion for it. I mean, whether it's your full-time job or just even a hobby, I don't think you'd be doing it if you didn't have passion for it. So I think just always coming up with ideas, and kind of what you told me, a big thing right when I was starting that kind of stuck out, and I still try and go by it, is just get out and shoot something. Whether it's taking pictures of your backyard or getting a few buddies and doing a fun little video, or just kind of anything to keep kind of growing your brand and just keeping those skills up to par. And I mean, you could do a simple photo shoot in, let's say, 30 minutes and get 40 pictures out of it that you go and edit, and then that's that much time you've been working on trying to better yourself. So I'd say just have that motivation.
That's a huge skill set, I think. I mean, one thing I've been vlogging, obviously, my journey here the past couple of weeks or whatever, and I think that's huge when people are starting, is to just go out and do. And that's what I tell everyone, just like I told you. I mean, I think it's super important to go out and shoot, because even though my daily vlogs, maybe they aren't getting very many views, and maybe they aren't awesome or cool or maybe very informing, but I know that when I'm filming myself every day, I'm learning the settings quicker. I'm learning the types of shots, what looks good, at least I think looks good, lighting, I'm learning all of that. And then obviously every day that gives you the practice in editing, that gives you the practice in voice and audio to practice with. So I think it's super important to just go out and do. And I'm glad you brought that up, actually, because, sometimes people feel uninspired to shoot something or create something. But one thing I really like to tell myself is to just go out and shoot, and the ideas will come to me. So sometimes I'll just go to downtown Minot, I'll start recording myself talking, say I don't know what this video is going to be about, and then stuff starts to click. And it's like a domino. And then you just keep going, and that's how ideas flow. So I don't know about you, but for me, my creative ideas come in two places. Number one, the shower. So when I shower, I get a lot of good ideas. I don't know why. But number two is actually when I'm creating. So I feel the most creative when I'm trying to make something, and that's when all my ideas come. So What would you say your creative places are, Boedey?
In the car, I do a lot of
That's a good one.
singing, talking, you name it, in the car. Kind of just have that time to yourself just to think, and then yeah, anything to do with outdoors, I'd say I get just kind of inspired by.
Okay. And even sometimes working out, I'm not a big gym freak. I'm not a big muscle head, but, if I go on a walk or, on a bike ride or go to the gym and hang out, anywhere that you can really just sit by yourself and collect your own thoughts, that's when the ideas really start to come to me. So.
Yeah, I would definitely agree.
And one thing about ideas, people, if you're listening, please take this. If you take one piece of advice from this whole entire episode, it's that when ideas come to you, write them down. Put them on a piece of paper, put them in your notes, put them on an app that takes lists or whatever. But good ideas, they don't come super often, but obviously ideas come a lot, but I forget a lot of ideas. Sometimes I won't write it down and be like, oh, I'll remember it. And then I'm like, crap, what was that thing I was going to do, right? So that's one tip I'd give. And maybe you can take away from this episode. And Boedey, maybe you can take away from it too. But really make sure you write down your ideas. And as you're brainstorming, maybe some other ideas will come up too. So that's one way to get started. So, okay, Boedey, thanks for coming on the pod, man. I mean, that's all the questions I got for you. I appreciate you coming on here, dude.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'll definitely try and be back on here if you let me.
Oh, for sure. Once you we'll maybe make this a once a month thing, and me and you on the Playing with Matches podcast, #brand. Yeah, that's how you do it, folks. And yeah, we'll get you on here, and then you can talk about some of your projects you're doing, some growth you're having, and go from there. But before we go, is there anything you want to tell the listeners about yourself? Anything you want to plug? You want to plug your own business? You want to say your Instagram? Go follow me there. You want to say your Twitter? Your, I don't know, Visco? What do you want to tell the listeners? Or nothing?
I would say my Instagram. Benny will be kindly just to throw it in the description of the podcast, but
I can do that, no doubt.
At Boedey Vaeth, or at Boedey Vaeth Media is my media account. Yeah, I try and post as much as I can. Been pretty busy here just with work and kind of after the season, but yeah, just go give it a follow, and feel free to email me or call me if you need anything.
And folks, I don't know, maybe you guys that are listening, you guys that are watching will know this because you're looking at Boedey's face right now, but people listening, if you're in the car on your way to work, or maybe you're stranded in a ditch and you're just hanging out listening to the podcast, Boedey's a good looking man, so go over there, go to his Instagram, follow his stuff. He's going to post some good pictures of him traveling. He's going to Spain here in, what was it, a week, Boedey?
Yeah, I leave in, a week I leave.
Sweet. So he's going to Spain. You guys will be able to see some of his Spain pictures, hopefully. Boedey, I'm putting it on the podcast, and now you're being held accountable. You must post pictures from Spain.
Yeah, we should almost record one when I'm in Spain.
You probably should.
Yeah.
You know what? This is what I'm putting on you to end the show. You have to film a Instagram story like I do and like Jesse Driftwood does. One story, one to 2 minute story on your Instagram, and make it whatever story you want about Spain. But I better see it on there. And now the listeners of this podcast are going to hold you accountable. So go comment on Boedey's last picture. Go on his picture, send him a message, and spam him with a banana emoji. And that means that he needs to do the Spain video.
So banana emoji means film Spain video, okay?
Yep. So hopefully the listeners and the watchers will go to Boedey Vaeth on Instagram and comment on Boedey's last picture, the banana emoji. And let's make a meme out of this.
Awesome.
But Boedey, that's all I got. So obviously, thanks for coming on the podcast, man. Appreciate it. First ever interview guest. That's awesome. Glad to have you on, good buddies, and hope your trip to Spain goes well.
Awesome. Thanks, brother.
What's up, guys? Thank you so much for listening. If you haven't already, please, please, please share this podcast with someone you know. Maybe share it with their mom, too. If you don't, I'll find you. Just kidding. Have a great rest of your day, guys.